Welcome to Dark Horizon Creations. I'm Mike. This time we're taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Tiger Force Edition Outback by Hasbro. Now, if you hadn't already, please follow, like, and subscribe to my social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get a notification of when I post new content. Tonight, we're taking a look at the Target exclusive Tiger Force edition of Outback from the G.I. Joe Classified Series by Hasbro. This is an action figure that I have greatly anticipated. I was able to order this last week on Target.com. It arrived a couple of days ago, and I must say I am more than impressed with this action figure. So to begin, if you're watching this product review and you are new to collecting G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, you're a new fan of G.I. Joe, and you have no idea who this old man is. Stuart R. Selkirk, codename Outback, is the G.I. Joe team survival specialist. He hails from Big Piney, Wyoming, and was a E5 sergeant in the U.S. Army, where he served as an instructor at the U.S. Army Jungle Warfare Training Center. Now, Outback's first appearance was in the G.I. Joe A Real American Hero comic series issue number 59, which was released back in May 1987. In the original 3 3/4 inch iteration of Outback, he is wearing a white t-shirt with the word survival across the front, which is an acronym from U.S. Army Ranger training. He also has red hair and not gray hair. With this particular version, this is a callback to the 3 3/4 inch scale Tiger Force edition of Outback. That was one of my favorite sublines within the original G.I. Joe A Real American Hero toy line. I really liked the Tiger Fish and Tiger Shark. I thought those were really cool. So taking a look at the packaging, you have your G.I. Joe Classified Series window display box. I really like this. I don't agree with Hasbro's decision to go to plastic-free packaging. And the reason for that is one of the major aspects of marketing a toy is how it is packaged. With a window display box, as you see here, you're able to see the action figure, all of the accessories, and it's not just a more presentable way to market the toy to collectors and fans and new consumers alike. It also makes it a great collectible. There is nothing collectible about their new packaging for the G.I. Joe Classified Series. So inside the packaging, of course, you have the action figure. In the upper right, you have a very large rucksack. In the upper left, you've got a fixed blade combat knife, an entrenching tool, a GI issue angle head flashlight. You've got a modified M1911 sidearm and an AR-10 pistol. That is not an AR-15, that is an AR-10, and we'll see that in just a moment. As well as a detachable 20-round box magazine for that rifle. On the back of the packaging, you've got a partial map to Cobra Island. This is only featured on the back of Target exclusive G.I. Joe Classified Series figures. And you can see some of the highlighted areas in the inset, and it looks like it's some sort of boat dock leading up an ancient pathway and some stone steps. Okay, so here we have Outback outside of the packaging, and the first thing that I want to point out is the insert inside of the box. You can see there that it has the Tiger Force logo printed on it. That is really awesome. So I wanted you all to see that before we go any further into the review. Okay, so here's Outback. Let's bring him in close so you guys can see this. Check out the attention to detail in that head sculpt. See the creases and lines around his eyes, around his nose, his cheeks, his jawbones, all the way around. Nice paint apps, light and dark contrast there. Different flesh tones that they used. Nice paint apps on his hair as well as his beard, black and white that they've used. You can see the detail in his shoulder harness there. It's got a gunmetal buckle. His duty belt is olive drab. It's got a gunmetal buckle on it. Black hard knuckle gloves. It's got on a wristwatch there with a gunmetal face. And you can see that they've got printed arm hair on his forearm. That's a first. I've never seen that on an action figure before. You can also see the holster for a sidearm, holster for the flashlight, tactical knee pads, the sheath for the fixed blade combat knife. All the way around, it's just a really cool looking action figure. I do like this. As far as articulation is concerned, his head's on a nice ball joint, full range of motion. Forward and lateral movement at the shoulder, bicep rotation, and this is segmented so it also rotates here. Double jointed elbow, wrist swivel, wrist pivot. These action figures also have a butterfly joint, as you can see right here. Torso, hinge, and swivel. Forward and lateral movement at the thigh, thigh rotation, double jointed knee, lower leg rotation. The foot will rotate and pivot. Full range of motion on these action figures. The other thing I'll point out, minor quality control issue on mine. Some paint scrape there on the inside of his elbows. I don't know what caused that. Something during the packaging process, I presume. That's not a big issue. As far as posability, you can place them in really any pose you want. They're stable action figures. Surface of my table is unlevel because it's plastic, so sometimes I have to reposition them when I'm standing them up on the table. Let's talk about accessories. First and foremost, you have the rucksack. This is really nice. A lot of nice molded detail in this rucksack. A lot of exterior accessory pockets. This is the type of ruck that you would use for cold weather or long range reconnaissance, mountaineering, things like that. You wouldn't use this in the jungle. Certainly wouldn't use it in a desert environment if you weren't moving over long distances. And the peg will go into the port on his back. And that's automatically going to make him top heavy, but on a flat surface, you can see that he will stand up. Next accessory, let's talk about the entrenching tool. A lot of nice molded detail there. This is what you would use to dig a foxhole, a hide, or your own personal latrine. And it's got a square port there. You can put it in one of these pegs on either side of the rucksack that you choose. Next accessory I want to talk about is the angle head flashlight. This is one of my favorite toys from the military. Those of you that don't know anything about this flashlight, this is the original GI issue flashlight from back in the 80s and 90s. And the way this operates, you've got two caps here. And the primary cap with those ribs on it, you unscrew that. It takes D-cell batteries. You put those in, screw the cap back on. The bottom cap unscrews. It's got a hook on the base of it. But there are colored lenses stored in there, and you unscrew this outer bezel, and you can insert different colored lenses like red, screw it back on, and there's a clip on the back of it where you can clip it onto your web gear up here and use that for reading maps and stuff at night. And by using the red lens, it allows you to see without breaking operational security and giving away the location of you and your team. So that's really cool. You would not wear it on your thigh in any kind of rig like they've got set up here. It would have been better if they had placed this on his shoulder harness and had the light turn around like that. And that's something I may do later on with customizing this figure. I may cut that off and glue it on up here. Also included is a fixed blade combat knife. That's a really cool design, partially serrated blade. Blade looks like it's probably 6.5 or 7 inches in length. That would be a full tang blade, hard pommel edge where you could use it for hammering and stuff like that. And it will go into its sheath. Again, you wouldn't see anyone wearing a fixed blade combat knife on the outside of their boot like this. At the very least, it would be up here attached somewhere on your thigh. But the correct place for that is an inverted position on one of these shoulder straps. Also included is the M1911A1. This is a modified 45 caliber pistol. It's got some weird metal stuff going on outside there. He's got the grip wrapped. I can understand that in a jungle environment, ripping cloth around the grip like that would give him a solid purchase on the sidearm. What you wouldn't see is some kind of rubber band going around the upper slide and attaching a weapon light to the bottom. That would inhibit the slide from functioning. The weapon wouldn't operate and you'd have a malfunction. You would attach that light to a Picatinny rail that is part of the frame of this firearm. And that will fit into the holster. I do like the design of the holster. Last but not least, you have an AR-10 pistol. This is an AR without a buffer tube. It's got an aim point sight on it. It's got a lot of warping in it. It's got some kind of red dot there. You wouldn't see that. You guys can see the warping. Now, there's a couple of ways to correct this. One is to immerse this in really hot water, not quite boiling. Leave it there for 30 or 40 seconds. Take it out, straighten it, and then immediately dunk it in ice cold water to allow the plastic to set. The other method is to take a hair dryer, put it on low setting for 30 to 40 seconds, straighten it out, dunk it in ice cold water, or you could take it and lay it on a flat surface like this and tape it down really tight and see if it'll hold the position. The only time I've ever seen a weapon like this was in Clear and Present Danger, where William Dafoe's character, James Clark, used an AR-15 pistol. This is an AR-10, and the reason I know that is because the size of this magazine. This is way too large to be a 5.56 caliber rifle. This is a 7.62 by 5.1. The sling is really useless because it's plastic, it's molded. You know, you could cut this off and then glue on a rubber band or something else in its place so that he could sling it over his chest. As far as gripping a weapon, his fingers are molded really tight. And again, you could use a hair dryer on this to open up his fingers. His trigger finger is molded to go inside the trigger guard. And because of the butterfly joint, you're able to really get these figures into a realistic shooting position. Some of these figures are better at this than others, but Outback seems to have a full range of motion and a really tight grip. There we go. So if you wanted to get him into a realistic shooting position where he's aiming that weapon, you can certainly do it. Bring the weapon up, align the sights with his eyes. That's not a problem. Let's see if we can reposition this again. There we go. Elbow down. That's really cool. That looks accurate. Overall, in my opinion, this is the best action figure we've gotten to date in the G.I. Joe Classified series. The accessories, the attention to detail, the head sculpt, the paint apps, all of it come together to make a really nice figure. If you don't have this figure in your collection, you definitely need to order one today. This is going to be one of those figures that exponentially increases in value over time. So there you have the G.I. Joe Classified series Outback by Hasbro.